Start recording. So tonight what I wanted to do is I promised all of you that were at the Incredible One Breakthrough Conference that I would share with you my experience in the federal market and share with you some information on how you can dominate the federal market in your company and in the services or products that you sell to the government. So I want to give you a high-level introduction of what I do and who I am, and talk a little bit about what it takes to actually sell your services to the federal market, and then we'll open it up for some questions and answers. So I am Sheila Blackman. I am the Chief Serving Officer of Government Contractor Coach, LLC. I've got over 30 years of serving the federal government as a consultant. I've never been an employee, but I have been a consultant for over 30 years. Worked on a number of large deals, large companies. Used to be a partner with one of the largest consulting companies in the world before I started my own business. And I've helped my clients and companies that I've worked for to win contracts in excess of $1 billion. And they've been contracts that have been one-year contracts and multi-year contracts. And I've got experience selling to the political appointees and the career federals. And why do I say that? Well, there's a difference between how you sell to the political appointees and how you sell to the career federals. The career federals are there every day, all day, every year. And so they're focused really on making sure the mission of the agency is delivered and that they are delivering consistent services and solutions to the American public. The political appointees are only there for a season. They're there as long as that administration is in place. And their focus is usually trying to make sure that while they're there, they actually are able to achieve some of the goals that they may be interested in. And sometimes the results that the agencies get may not be in the best interest of the citizens. So you have to know how to sell to both politicals as well as appointees because there is a way. There's a way that can help you and there's a way that can hurt you. So what do? Government Contractor Coach equips small and medium-sized businesses with the tools and the techniques that are required to deliver your products and services to the U.S. federal agencies, and we assist them in achieving their mission. So the ultimate goal is to make sure that you're not just out here selling products and services to make money, but my ultimate goal and why I focus on the government is I want to make sure that any solution, any recommendation, any product, any service, anything that I give to the government, I want to make sure that it is going to produce a result that will benefit the American people, because that is the purpose of the government, is to make sure they are benefiting the U.S. citizens. And so that should also be one of the reasons why you want to achieve or want to support the federal government and go after federal contracts. Why do we pursue, why should you pursue federal contracts, and why do I? Well, more than anything, it's lucrative. The government spends about $4.1 trillion a year awarding federal contracts. A large number of that budget goes to large businesses, but small businesses are also awarded about 23% of that overall budget. Some people say there's not enough budget, there's not enough contracts awarded to small business, but I don't know about you, but I would be good with getting just 1% of all the contracts that are awarded to small businesses. So don't let the numbers scare you. Don't let the numbers cause you to run away, because there's more than enough contracts that are shared, that are awarded, that are given to small businesses. You just have to have your act together, and you have to know what you're going after and why you're going after it. So how do you dominate the federal market? Well, let me just ask you guys a question real quick before I continue, because I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me good? Is everybody hear me fine?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to mute you again. So how do you dominate the federal market? What are the things that you have to do? Well, there are really 5 key things that you have to do. The 6th thing is something you can do if you want to do. So the 5 key things that you have to do is, first of all, you have to have the right mindset to be able to go to market. The federal market is not like the commercial market, and how you deal with the clients, how you look at what's needed for the clients is completely different than the commercial market. So you got to get the right mindset to go into the federal market. You got to build your business approach. You got to know how and who and what and why and where you're going to sell your services, because not everybody buys what you sell. And not everybody spends money. They may buy it, but they may not spend a whole lot of money on what you sell. So you got to be strategic in how you go to market. You got to develop your sales strategy. Again, you got to know, and let me go back to the business approach for a second. You got to know when, where, why you want to get certain certifications and how you're going to leverage those. Something that I hear all the time is you cannot win contracts unless you have certifications. Well, I will let all of you know I have not gotten a single certification, and I didn't do it for a strategic reason. And I've won over $10 million worth of work under my own business. So certifications are great, and they have their place in the federal market, but you need to know when to get those certifications, because some of them have deadlines, and when they expire, they expire. You can't go back and recertify. When they're done, they're done. So you need to know when to get certain certifications, and they have to be in line with your sales strategy. You have to know how you're going to leverage those certifications, how you're going to leverage the agencies, how you're going to market to certain agencies, how you're going to market to certain people. You got to have a sales strategy. From your sales strategy, you have to have a capture process. Your capture process will talk about how you're going to actually win the work, the things you're going to do to get you to a place to make a decision to bid on a deal and to write a proposal for that deal and to price that deal and to prepare for execution or the win of the deal. And then you also have to be able to write a good proposal. No, actually, you need to be able to write a great proposal. And you need to be able to write one where you can differentiate yourself from others. And then the final thing is once you've written your proposal, you've won the work, you want to learn how to celebrate your wins and not be so focused on just winning, winning, winning. Celebrate your wins, because I promise you, you're going to win, you're going to lose about just as many as you win, and you want to know how to celebrate your wins and your losses. So let's jump into the specifics around each of those steps. So establishing your mindset. As a federal contractor, you've got to take into consideration, and I'm not going to say you don't do this on the commercial side, because I'm pretty sure a lot of this you will do on the commercial side. It's just how you look at your clients on the federal side may be a little bit different than commercial. A lot of things that the commercial does, the federal government can't do. And a lot of things that you have to do in the Fed space, they don't do in the commercial space because it just costs too much money. So as the CEO of that company that's pursuing federal contracts, you got to make sure that you are a visionary. You got to have a vision for where you're taking your company in the federal space. And it can't just be, well, I just want to make a lot of money. It's got to be more, it's got to be a more structured vision for how you're going to go to market, because when you sit down and have those conversations with those federal employees, they're going to know right away, oh, they're just after money. They don't really care about our problems. They don't really want to help us. You got to be a vision. You got to be a visionary. You got to be a strategic thinker, because you're going to need to know, and you're going to need to be able to think through, who do I partner with? Why do I partner with them? What kind of deals do I want to pursue? How fast do I want to grow? How do I make sure that I can do the things I need to do in the way I need to do them so that we are successful? Because the last thing you want is to be seen as a vendor in the federal market that does not deliver. News travels fast, and companies will very quickly push you to the side and choose not to work with you, as well as the government will as well. You got to learn to accept responsibility for anything you do. Good, bad, ugly, learn to accept responsibility. You cannot be that company that makes excuses for why something did not go well, or why something did not work well, or why an employee did this or that. You cannot be that excuse maker. You got to learn to accept responsibility for anything that happens within your company, because you are the CEO of that company. And you've got to learn how to teach your people to accept responsibility for anything they do. Because at the end of the day, the last thing the government wants to do is work with someone who's going to blame somebody else for a decision they made, or for an action they took, or for anything that happened in their company. They want to work with people that are going to be willing to say, you know what, I made a mistake, but here's what we're going to do to fix it. You have to be a decision maker. One of the things that really can get you bogged down in the federal space is taking too long to make a decision. Opportunities come and go very quickly, and you need to have a process and an ability to be able to look at certain things and say, yes, we're going to bid it. No, we're not going to bid it. Yes, we're going to team. No, we're not going to team. This is the solution we're going to put forward, and this is why, or this is not. I'm hiring this person, or I'm not. The government does not drag their feet and say you can take forever to make decisions. That's not the kind of government. It may seem like that's how the government is, but when they're paying you to be a consultant to them, which there is a difference between being a consultant and a contractor. There are lots of contractors in the federal space, and contractors are those individuals that do exactly what they're told to do. I'm a consultant, and as a consultant, I tell the government what I think they need. Not what they want, but what they need. And I have to be knowledgeable enough and confident enough in what I'm selling to my clients to be able to do that. And so one of the things I have to do is I've got to be a decision maker. I have to be willing to make decisions in a timely fashion so that I can help my clients be able to move from one thing to the next thing and be ready to respond to Congress, White House, Secretary, whoever may be reaching out to them. So as a CEO, you've got to be a decision maker, because you're going to have to bring in people that are like you, and you got to be a delegator. You cannot do everything. You got to have confidence in the people that work for you, and you've got to instill that same mindset in your people, because that's what your government clients are going to be expecting. They're going to expect to see that whatever they see from the CEO, or however they receive the CEO, they're going to walk away with the mindset that the people that work for that CEO have the same mindset. So you have to set the standard in your company of how you want to go to market and how you want to make sure your team does the same thing. The next thing you want to do is you want to build your business approach. And in building your business approach, the very first thing that is required, if you don't do anything else, well, if you don't do this, you can't do anything else. You have to become eligible. You have to make sure that you have established your business so that you are eligible to be able to bid on contracts, or to be able to have a contract sole sourced to you, given to you basically by the government. It's not, they don't really give it to you. There's a little bit of work you have to do, but you have to be eligible. And so you need to understand what does eligibility means. You have to develop a business plan, and your business plan could be for your business, but I always tell people, build a business plan for how you want to grow your federal market as part of your business. You may have both commercial and federal. Well, develop a business plan for how you want to grow your federal market. Because as I said, federal is so much different than commercial, and you need to be clear as to where you're trying to go in the federal space and why. Understand what your target market is. Again, the government buys a lot of stuff. What they don't buy is, they don't buy sex. They don't buy drugs. Those things are not legal, so they don't buy those things. But there's a lot of things that they do buy, but not everybody buys everything. So be clear as to what it is that you sell, why you sell it, and don't be so generic. I meet so many people that say, oh, I sell IT. Well, what does that mean? Because IT encompasses a lot of stuff. So you got to be pretty clear on your target market, and you got to be clear on what you sell, because you can't sell everything. You have to develop an opportunity pipeline. That opportunity pipeline will be developed based on your target market and based on the products or services that you sell. You want to create a capture process, and then of course you want to learn how to price your deals, because pricing of course is extremely important. Just as important as your technical solution or your management approach, your pricing is important as well. So you want to build your business approach. From that, you want to develop your sales strategy. And I tell everybody, don't try to come into the Fed space and try to be that company that can do everything for everybody. You can't. So coming in, I always tell my clients, first thing, let's identify your top 3 agencies that you want to work with. Why do I say 3? Because that's more than you can handle initially, but that gives you enough to start to build your foundation for your company. What you don't want to do is get a contract here, and a contract being one resource here, one resource here, one resource here, one resource here. That's hard to manage. That doesn't give you the past performance you need. It doesn't tell a good story about your company, and it makes it look like all you're doing is chasing money. So narrow down the agencies that you want to work with. Know the decision makers in that agency. So if you choose agencies, choose agencies where you know somebody, because the way you sell in the government is by who you know, and being able to go in and have conversations. So you got to get to know who the decision makers are. You have to give the client an incentive to commit to you. So once you determine the decision makers, you want to set up meetings and start to introduce your company, talk about why you can help them, not talk about what you do, but talk about why you can help them. And while you're talking about why you can help them, you weave in what you do. So there's a craft, there's an art, I guess. There's an art to how you sell in the federal space. Sitting and just talking about what you do, that might get you one meeting. But I promise you, you probably won't be asked to come back again. Because why? You didn't tell them anything. You talked about all you can do for you, but you didn't tell me what you could do for me. So you have to give the client an incentive to commit to you. You have to learn how to overcome any potential objections. I'm sorry, they should say objections. And there will be plenty. You're going to get plenty of objections from feds, from other vendors, from people within your company. You have to learn how to overcome those objections so that you can actually move forward. Because otherwise, you may end up getting to a place where you never bid on anything because you got so many objections. You got to learn how to hear it, take what you hear, throw away what you don't need, and then move on and look for opportunities that will allow you to do the things that you are looking to do. Know who's your competition. Why? Because one day they may be your competition, the next day they may be your partner. And so you want to know what kind of story are they telling? What solutions are they delivering? How are they pricing their deals? Because you want to be able to beat them as you go after the same opportunities, the same markets, the same clients. So you got to get to know who's your competition. Be careful what you say. You don't want to tell a client too much. You don't want to tell them too little. You don't want to tell other companies too much. You don't want to have people in your company or even yourself walking around talking about the deals that you're pursuing, how you priced it, what your strategy was. You don't want to do all of that because that makes it hard for you to go to market. So you got to be careful what you say and who you say it to. But more than anything, you got to be yourself. There are too many times when people will go in and meet with clients and they try to be somebody else because I had a conversation with someone else and they said, whereas clients are people too. So they want you to come in, be yourself, tell them how you can help them, tell them how you're going to solve a problem, tell them how you're going to produce certain results for them, and do it in a way where they don't walk away saying, Lord, I don't know who I was just talking to. I have no idea who I was just talking to. So you got to learn to be yourself. Get comfortable in being yourself. You have to execute your capture process. Now, what is the capture process? Because people get business development and capture mixed up. So business development is identifying the opportunities that you would like to pursue. Your capture process is going through that list of opportunities that you think you want to pursue and really identifying realistic opportunities. And realistic opportunities could be a number of different things, but you identify what realistically can you pursue, and then you validate those opportunities. And there's a lot of different steps and things that you would go through to validate an opportunity and determine whether you would bid on it or not bid on it. If you decide to bid on it, then you want to develop your win strategy. And your win strategy includes a number of different things: your team, your pricing, your solution, your approach. A number of different things go into your win strategy. Your win things, your differentiators, a whole lot of things you have to think about when you're developing your win strategy. From your win strategy, you want to start building your team. Because again, in your win strategy, one of the things you're going to think about is, Who do I need to have on my team? Who are going to be some of my competitors? What products do I want to buy? What is our proposed solution? And so you want to start building your team. Going to market by yourself is a losing proposition. The government does not like to award contracts to companies that don't have partners because there is no diversity. And the idea is you are coming in with one idea, yours, and usually the government says, we want to see some diversity in the solutions that we receive from our vendors. So you need to build a team. Even if it's a $100,000 deal, you might bring somebody in and they may only get 10 hours on the contract, but at least give them something that differentiates, or at least give the government the confidence that not everything's going to come just from you or from your company. You want to understand your pricing. Pricing is extremely important. You need to know how to price for the type of contract that you are pursuing. And you need to make sure more than anything that you built a pricing model where you have profit built in. I had a conversation earlier this week with someone, and the guy told me how much he bid, how much he priced the job, and I said, wow, I don't think you have any profit built in. And he said, well, I got a little bit. And so as I started asking him questions, and did you include this? Did you think about this? Did you think about how you're going to pay these people? Did you think about this? He was like, wow, I'm not making any money. So you got to have a model that will allow you and help you to understand how you develop your labor categories, and more than anything, make sure that you're being a profitable company. Unless you're just doing this as a nonprofit, and then okay, that's okay too. The government they like people working. They don't like you working for free because that's illegal. But if you choose not to make money, that's your decision. And then you respond to it. You want to be able to respond to RFPs, requests for proposals, RFIs, requests for information, sources sought, which is another vehicle that the government may use, or a way to go to market that the government may use to collect information from vendors. So you have to know what kind of solicitation you're responding to and how you're going to respond to it, because depending on what it is, some things have an initial submission and there's some other actions you have to take. Some things are, I submitted my response and now wait to hear back from the government. So you have to know what the different types of solicitations are and how you need to handle those. So from your capture, and you've decided that now I have an opportunity, we've done all of our due diligence, we have our team, we know where we're going, now it's time to develop our proposal. And when you develop your proposal, there are a number of things you have to think about. More than anything, you've got to know what is it that the client is asking for. And how do I make sure I submit a compliant and compelling sales document? Because that's what your proposal is. It's a sales document. If you're not compliant, you've lost. If it's not compelling, you've lost. So you need to know what the art is, or the art around developing a proposal that will actually answer the questions that the government's asking for and differentiate you from any competitor with a price point that makes the government say, I know what I'm buying, I know what I'm getting, I know what I'm paying for it, I feel comfortable with this company. So you need to have a proposal process that will allow you to make sure that at the end of the day, you've done your evaluation, your analysis, you've done any case studies, you've developed the appropriate framework, you got your pricing, and you've submitted a winning proposal that is compliant and compelling. And then once you submit your proposal, you wait for the government to come back and say, hello, Ms. Blackman, we want to tell you congratulations, we are awarding this contract to you. And you get excited. You get excited. You go to your team, you tell your team what a great job they did as you're working on your other 10 proposals, and you celebrate your win. I tell people all the time, don't win and then jump right into execution. Take some time and celebrate your win. And don't win and think you didn't do anything wrong. Spend some time with your team and really think about the process you went through and what were the good, the bad, the ugly. And I always tell people to do a start, stop, continue process after every win. Whether you win or whether you lose, go through the same process, because the reality is none of us are perfect. And we will have problems as we go through the process, no matter what it is, and no matter how great we think we are. And so at the end of the day, you want to make sure that while you celebrate your win, you also think about how can we improve for the next opportunity. Because the reality is you're not going to only submit one proposal. You may be submitting 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 proposals at one time, depending on how big your company is, depending on how aggressive you are. And so you want to make sure you learn from everything that you do, good, bad, and ugly. So more than anything, this is something I tell everybody. You got to get out your comfort zone. Too many people get to a place in the Fed market where they like to play it safe. They like to just get by. And the government sees that. They know that. They know that when you sit down with them, whether you are really excited about the things that you're saying to them, excited about the solutions you can provide to them, really confident in whether you can do the things you're saying, they know that when you sit down and have conversations with them. And most clients, most federal clients do not like companies that like to play it safe. You can look at the do analysis on the companies that win in the federal market. The large guys that win, yeah, they win because they have consistently won. I'm not going to say they've consistently done a great job. They have done a great job at marketing their company and their ability to service their clients. They've been very consistent about it. And the people that they put out fall in that 2% of the population, where they go in there with such confidence and excitement, and they're giving these great ideas and great approaches, and they have no fear whatsoever. And they walk away with contracts, whether they can deliver or not. They walk away with contracts because they've given the government a confidence that they can deliver and they can do what they said they can do. So more than anything, as the CEO, you've got to get out of your comfort zone. I'll share with you guys that for me, when I first left this cushy job I had, I was so deep in my comfort zone. I don't even know why, because I had sold billions of dollars worth of work, but when I got to running my own company, I don't know why I felt this insecurity. I don't know what it was, but I went deep into my comfort zone. And for a number of years, I stayed with one client. And they were a great client. I mean, within the first year, I had sold $1.5 million worth of work. But I got comfortable. I got really comfortable. And I didn't even think about looking at other agencies and growing my company. And then I had some personal things that came along. But what it did for me is it put me in a place where I became a straight up procrastinator. I didn't think about looking for new deals, new partners, new nothing. All I did was took this one agency and I got to know a whole bunch of people in that agency, and I did what's called organic growth. I get a little piece of contract here, another piece of this contract here. I got to the place where the government was telling other vendors to call me and have my company, and I was happy with that. But then I realized, I was like, wow, I haven't even tried to go talk to any other agencies. I haven't tried to talk to anyone else. And I know plenty of people, but I just never done it. But I got so comfortable in where I was like, why should I? And I started to realize that maybe I've even gotten a fear of going beyond where I am. So I had to make a decision. Do I want to be a part of the 98% of the population, or do I want to be in the 2% of the population? And I had to step out, and I had to really define a plan and a strategy that went far bigger than what I had originally planned. And I had to put my faith in God, and I had to stand on the word, and I had to get out there. And so I tell everybody this story because, one, I'm not ashamed of it. It is what happened. I'm not ashamed of it, but it taught me a lot of things, and more than anything, it taught me how to trust God and put my faith in God. But it also taught me the thing of, if I just want to get by, then I can just stay an employee. I don't need to be a business owner to just get by, because there's a reason why you chose to start a business. There's a reason why you chose to sell a product or a service. There's a reason why you created a product or a service. So you didn't do it just, I mean, some people do it just because they just like it, but I like what I do and I want to make money. I mean, I have 3 granddaughters that I want to pay for their school, pay for them to go to college. I have a son and 2 daughters that I want to be able to leave some things for them, and I want to retire and do nothing or do whatever I want to do when I retire. So I got some pretty big goals. I want to give back to the community. I want to do things to help other women. I have big goals where I'm like, okay, Lord, I could potentially do this with a job, but I like what I do. I like being a business owner. I like having the opportunity to help other people. I like being able to hire people and help them meet their goals, their dreams, and helping other people grow their business. I love doing stuff like that. So I had to get out of my comfort zone because where I was, I could only help me. No one else but me. So that's what it takes at a very high level. That's what it takes to pursue federal contracts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up the lines and let you ask me any questions before I make you guys an offer. That was a pretty quick run through of what it takes to be successful in the federal market. So let me open it up to all of you, and you can ask me any questions. And then from there, I will make you guys an offer, just like my coach Danielle has taught me, and I'm sure all of you have probably coached with Danielle as well, so you should have known there was going to be an offer that came from this. And oh, by the way, I talked to Danielle about this before I called you guys, and she was like, yep, she's going to let them have it. I was like, I'm not going to let them have it, but I'm going to be nice to them, but I am going to share with them some of the things that you taught me. So what questions do you have? No questions?
Well, I have a question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, ladies first. Go on, please.
Well, I was calling. I got a question for you, and I know you talked about this is Tanya, and you talked about.
I'm going to put Tony. I think that's you. I'm going to put everybody on mute except for the person talking. Who is the person?
Because somebody got music going.
Somebody got moved. Yeah, this is Tanya, but I can't hear. I hear something in the background.
Okay, let me mute everybody. And can you do this for me? Because I'm gonna mute everybody because I don't know who it is that's talking. But can you put a message in the chat and let me know that you have a question? Then I'll unmute you. Because otherwise, I don't think you guys are gonna be able to hear. So let me mute everybody. Okay, and Tanya. Okay. All right.
Can I go ahead?
Yep, Tanya, you're unmuted.
Okay, so I know a little bit about this market, not enough. You and I talked at the breakthrough. And so you talked about the fact that, and I think you clarified the capture management versus the business development. There are 2 different people, right?
They could be the same person, but usually they aren't the same person, but they are it's 2 different activities that you do between business development and capture. Yeah.
And then you have to be in have a SAMS number in order to do work with the federal government. Is that correct?
Yeah, so when I said you need to be eligible, you
Yes.
have to be registered in SAMS. So you have to have a DUNS, you have to have a cage code, and you have to be registered in SAMS before you can win a federal contract. You can go after contracts all day long, you just can't win any.
And I thought you said something very interesting, because oftentimes they tell you need all these certification, woman-owned and WOSB, and I do know they sole source and with the FAR. So what you were saying, which is encouraging, that there's a time when you get those certifications. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that is something that people say all the time. If you don't have certifications, you can't win in the federal space. I am not certified in anything. And the reason why I'm not is because it makes more sense to build you up a past performance and a foundation before you get your certifications, because you need to learn how to sell your company. What a lot of people do is they rely on the certifications and they rely on what's called a sole source, which is not really a sole source, but they don't ever learn how to go to market. So that when they get to a place where they've exceeded a woman-owned or HubZone or 8A or a services able, you can never really exceed. But they get to a place from a dollar standpoint that they're no longer small. They don't know how to go to market. They can't write proposals. They can't compete against anyone because they relied on their certification. So I tell my clients, get you some wins, get you some past performance, then get the certifications, because then once you get the certifications, you will be popping out proposals, proposals really quick and really fast, and you'll be popping out winning proposals. Working on certifications doesn't really do anything for you, because you can walk in to me and tell me you got all those certifications, and the first thing I want to say is, okay, well, what have you done? You've done nothing? Okay, that's great, but I don't need you. You can't help me win anything.
So my last question, oftentimes, I know there's a difference between the prime and a subcontract. For someone who's trying to build past performance, would you recommend subcontracting first before you begin to do prime?
The possibility of you winning a prime deal and you don't have any past performance is, let me see, 0%. Yes,
right.
Not slim, 0%. You need to start out as a subcontractor. There's way too many things you need to learn, which I'm pretty sure most of you, if I ask you, do you know what the key elements are that you need to develop your pricing? I'm pretty sure most of you would say no. And so if you develop pricing as a prime, you probably wouldn't win anyway, because the government would look at your pricing and say, this pricing doesn't look right. And then when they start asking you specific questions, you probably be so lost that by the time it's said and done, you would have wasted a lot of time going after a prime contract that you couldn't win. And you wouldn't get any companies to partner with you either, because if they really are good in the Fed space, they would know whether you could win the deal or not.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yep. Tony.
Actually, I'm sorry. I must have did something wrong. I'm on my phone. I'm in the traffic of DC.
Yeah, you did something wrong, because if you're in the traffic of DC at this time, yeah, you did something wrong.
Good job, though.
Okay. So you don't have a question?
No, not now.
Okay.
I'm going to have to probably go back and look at the recording because I came in kind of late.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else put your name in the chat if you have a question? No more questions?
I'm grateful. I'm so happy to be here. This is the Darnell version of the story, by the way.
Okay. Are there any more questions?
God walks them into a.
That's not me, just for the record. That's Sal.
Yeah, actually, I know who it is. All right. If there's no questions, then I'm going to mute you guys again, because I'm going to make you guys an offer. And for all of you that are really serious about moving into the federal space, let me mute everybody. So I've told you about what the key areas that you really have to know and understand before you ever put your pen to paper on for any opportunity within the federal space. And so because of my relationship with Darnell and how I really love helping companies go to market in the Fed space, one of the things about me is I have no fear of teaching someone what I know, because if you beat me, great, but I'm confident enough to believe that I know some things that differentiates me from you, and so I don't worry about you beating me. If anything, I'm looking for more companies that I can actually bring to the table to partner with because of the type of deals that we are starting to pursue. So this is what I would like to offer to just the Incredible One participants. I have a training course that I am going to teach at the end of September 27th and 28th, called Pursuing Federal Contracts 101. And this course will teach you, it's an introductory level course, but it goes into much more detail than I did today on the areas that I talked about: business development, capture, proposal management and development, pricing. And the thing I didn't talk about was contract compliance, but we'll talk about that as part of looking at your proposal and responding to a request from the government. This 2-day training is going to give you details, enough details to be able to position you to start finding opportunities and to determine whether this is even a market that you want to be in and how to start going to market. The training is going to be, as I said, September the 27th and 28th. And for those of you that don't know, those are key days in the federal government because the fiscal year starts October 1st. And the last few days of the month of September is when the government is finalizing contracts and trying to spend as much money as they can because they don't want to have to give any money back to the Federal Reserve. So I have said that you guys are just that important that I will give up my last 2 days of the fiscal year to teach you how to pursue federal contracts and to prepare you for the next fiscal year, which starts on October 1st. I'm going to conduct this training in Quantico, Virginia. And for the first 20 people that sign up for the training, you'll get this discount. And actually, if all of you sign up, if more than 20 sign up, only you guys will get this discount. So my regular price of the training is $1,500. But for the Incredible One participants, I've dropped the price down to $850. And there's a coupon code that you use. And on my website, my government contractorcoach.com website, you can go out onto the website, and under the tab that says shop, you'll see the actual training there. You can click on it, and then you can register for the training. Now, the thing that you must understand is that the coupon expires on this Sunday at 5 p.m. And so after 5 p.m. on Sunday, that coupon will expire and the price goes back up to $1,500. So
I got a question.
yeah, I'm gonna unmute everybody because I figured you guys would. Okay, yeah, who said I got a question?
Tanya.
Okay, Tanya.
Okay. Okay, so let me ask you, so you're gonna teach us how to do this stuff, right? And this is 2 days, right?
I'm going to teach you how to do business development, capture, proposal, pricing, and developing compliant contracts. Yes.
Okay, now I've been to similar classes. I can't say I've been in a class like yours, but you and I know that's a lot of work for somebody that's trying to run a business. So do you do any other consulting? Because you really need a team to help you with pricing and all that. There's no way you can do that by yourself and run your business.
Right. There's absolutely no way you can do it and run your business, but there's no way that you can run your business without knowing these pieces. So this is not to teach you. Well, actually, let me see. So the federal government. Well, let me ask you guys a question. Have any of you ever heard of simplified acquisitions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So with a simplified acquisition, the government can award you a contract that cannot exceed $250,000.
Right.
But for that simplified acquisition, you still need to know how to do business development. You still need to know how to do capture. You still need to know how to write a proposal because the government cannot just give you a contract without you providing them something in writing to say what it is that you're going to do for them. You still need to know how to do pricing, and you still need to know how to make sure that that contract or that proposal is compliant, as well as once you win the contract, that you are in compliance. So these are all areas that you need to know, because how are you going to go hire somebody in any of these areas if you don't even understand it yourself?
Okay, well, let me just, and again, I could probably talk to you offline.
Okay.
And because I do know a lot of that stuff, I just don't have the time, and I'm looking for somebody to help me with it and farm that stuff out. I mean, I get what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. You need to know how to do all that and look at all these different sites like eLibrary and compare and see who's done what. You know, all that's a lot of work, and that front work doesn't give you return on investment initially because you got to spend time. And if you got a business, you need somebody to help you do this. So do you provide any other services? And you may want to talk to me offline.
Yeah, so I can talk to you offline because there are other services. There are consulting services that I provide companies, but I can tell you, Tanya, that now I'll be honest with you. I can sit down with you and I can help you develop an approach for how you go to market and how you can potentially be successful. But I will tell anybody, if you think that this is a lot of work, then you don't need to be going after $1 million deals. Because $1 million deal is
and I get that, but I'm just saying when you already have a business, you still got to have a team to help do some of those pieces. to bring
Oh,
it
yeah.
together.
I don't do all. One of the things I told you guys, the mindset you got to have is you got to be able to delegate, right?
Right.
So you're going to need to know, do you know what it takes to find the right business development manager? Do you know what qualifications they need to have? Do you know what things they need to bring to you so that you can have comfort in running the other parts of your business?
Right. Okay. I like it. I like how you position that. That makes sense. You know, because
I mean,
I
it's up
just
to you. It's up to all of you because I do this now. So I had to go through this and learn every single piece of this because just like you said, Tanya, I don't do all of this myself. I have people that do a lot of this for me, but I sure know how to sit in a meeting with a BD manager and ask the right questions, or BD
okay.
PT and ask the right questions. Or I do know how to price a job, and I can tell you for every one of my jobs how profitable we're going to be and what things I need to do to make us even more profitable. That
Okay.
is your job as a CEO.
No, I actually like that approach, and you're absolutely right. And so I just want to make sure, because we do this 2 days here. That's a lot of information. And again, if your mindset is not right, because I've sat in a lot of these classes, and you do have to have the right mindset, but you don't want to be going by doing all aspects of it. It's just too much for
Right.
you to do. Okay.
Yep, you're right. So this is a 2-day introductory training. I have other trainings that go into more detail. I have trainings that will help you to actually go after a real opportunity, and I work with you for 6 months to go after a real opportunity. I have one-on-one training. I have VIP days like Danielle did add. So it all depends on where you are and what you want to do. But this training is for those who are not in the Fed space, but you want to be in the Fed space and you want to understand the five core elements that are required for you to be able to pursue federal contracts.
Okay. I got to get your number then. Okay.
I will give you the website in a minute. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to mute everybody again. Okay, so wait, did I mute myself? No. Okay, so that's the offer. 2-day training, give you details on how to give you enough details to understand all of these core pieces, and enough that will give you, I'll give you enough information for you to, if you decided to go after a small deal. But as Tanya said, it does take a lot. But I would never tell a client of mine to go into the Fed space and immediately go after $1 million deal. It takes a lot to win it. It takes a lot to deliver it. And so we'll talk about all those things in more detail in that 2-day training. So if you would like to have a one-on-one session with me, you can go to this address and it has my calendar, and you can sign up time to do a 30-minute session with me. There's some questions that I'll ask you prior to that one-on-one session, but I will give you 30 minutes. It will not be me giving you any consulting advice on how to pursue a deal, how to approach a deal you're working on, how to look for partners. It's none of that. It's all around helping you make a decision on whether you want to go into the Fed space and you want my company to help you be successful in the Fed space. Laura, you asked, what do you consider a small deal? Okay, so when you're first coming out, a small deal to me would be something that's no more than $150,000, $250,000. A small deal for me now, based on where I am, would be something that's about $5 to $10 million. That's a small deal. But when you're first coming out, if you go after a $250,000 deal, I would say that that's a nice size deal because it'll give you an opportunity to get in, meet a customer, start deliver some services, get comfortable in being in the space, give you the opportunity. Hopefully, you're going to be selling it where you'll be the one doing the work, so you can do a walk. You can walk around the agency, meet some people. I'll teach you about organic growth, what that is. We'll talk a little bit about that in the 2-day training as well. But yeah, something that's probably no more than $250,000. But if you would like to do a one-on-one session, you can go here, sign up for a 30-minute conversation with me, and we'll talk about your company and what you want to do and how you can do it in the Fed space. So with that, that is Government Contractor Coach. That is what I do. I'm going to open the lines up, and if there's any more questions, I'll give you an opportunity to ask any questions you may have before we get off. So are there any other questions that anyone may have?
Where's your what's the name of your website so I can look and see where all the other options you have? This is Tanya.
So I don't have all the options out there, but so yesterday my website died and we are in the process of rebuilding it. Okay. So well, by the end of this weekend, we'll have everything out there. But my website is www.governmentcontractorcoach.com. I'm going to, I don't know if I have a way to be able to send this presentation to any of you, but if you want a copy of this presentation, I sent all of you a text message reminding you of this call. Respond back to me and give me your email address, and I will send you a copy of this presentation, as well as I will probably post this on my website, not my website, on my Facebook site, so that I'm recording this, so you'll actually be able to see the recording as well.
Okay.
No question, Sheila, but thank you. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for sharing.
And Sheila,
yes.
My question for me, Vanessa, I get in my situation with having something not available, I guess not available because of no manufacturer or distributor. How does that work for me?
What kind of business are you in?
A garage door.
Oh, you designed a new garage door. That's the company you told me about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your client may not be the federal government. Your client, this is what I told you at the conference, your client may be contractors who build houses, because remember, the government they build military housing, they have housing that is owned by the government but may have federal recipients living in them. So your clients may not be the actual federal government. It may be companies that are providing services to the government, and they need what you provide.
Right.
So remember, I told you that something I think that's going to affect you is your pricing and how you price your garage doors. So why don't you just reach out to me for a one-on-one, and we'll have a separate conversation. And
okay.
We can talk more about what it is that you do and how I may be able to help you.
Okay, sounds good.
Is there any way I can this program you're talking about, I am interested in, but I'm getting ready to leave to go on vacation. Mm-hmm. And you say it ends on Sunday. So I kind of want to, I know I've already just scheduled a call with you when I come back, but I want to talk to you about this program offline just to make sure it's the right thing.
Okay. Who am I talking to?
This is Tanya again. I'm sorry, I'm dominating.
Oh, okay. So you're saying, wait, Tanya, are you the 201 number, 201-403?
No, I'm the Georgia number, 404-663.
Oh, no, your name is showing up. Okay. So Tanya, when you set up your 101, if you have not registered by Sunday, when you set up your 101, we will talk about what we can do. I'm not going to.
Okay.
But because I want to be fair to everybody. But yeah, if you want to get in on learning how to do the government work, this is probably one of the cheapest prices that you will see for doing this. So
it's pretty competitive. I've paid that kind of money.
Yeah. Okay. Have your coaches, or have they been individuals that have actually sold work in the Fed space? Because that's one thing I find to be interesting is there's a lot of people that train, but they've never sold any work.
Well, right, and so Darnell is definitely my coach for sure, but I've been put the peak tech and they do all this stuff. And so anyway, we'll talk.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Dr. Sherry, did you have a question? Nope.
No, I'm sorry. I hit it by accident.
Oh, okay, no problem. Okay, if there are no other questions, then we're going to end the call, and I look forward to working with each of you. And as I said, if you still have questions, set up a one-on-one call with me, and we can talk more about what you do and whether this is the right program for you and what things you may need to do. And if you're already in business, or if you're already pursuing federal contracts and you want to learn how to go after bigger deals, set up a one-on-one with me, and we can talk more about how how Government Contractor Coach can help you grow your business. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining me tonight, and I look forward to working with each one of you.
Thank you.
Good night, and good. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.